Hello, this is Raven Wings Tarot, and I will be reviewing the Akamara Tarot and the Okana Oracle. Before I begin, I would like to note several things. The Akamara Tarot and the Okana Oracle are meant for those who practice spiritualities that are within the nexus of the African diaspora, which include indigenous types of magic, root work, divination, healing, and even shamanism. Practices such as Obia, Haitian Voodoo, Santeria, Lukumi, Dominican Voodoo, Las 21 Divisiones, and even Egyptian Chemeticism are included under this umbrella. The creator of these decks intended them to be used by those who practice those said spiritual paths. So just to forewarn others, do not get this deck unless you practice or come from these lineages that practice the aforementioned spiritual paths. This is not meant to exclude others, but it is to protect and respect the practices that are sacred to the African, Afro-Caribbean, and Latin Caribbean people. Akamara comes from Akamara, which is a Yoruba concept practiced within the Ifa religion. It loosely means extension or creator. But in the Ifa tradition, Akamara is the creator of the cosmos and is neither male or female. The Yoruba, who are people located mainly in Nigeria and Benin, but also in parts of West Africa and the Canary Islands, practice Ifa, which is a religious divinatory system. Also, Yoruba is the name of the language that the Yoruba people speak. Okana means loosely mouth speaking or speaking from the mouth. It can also mean one mouth. And Santeria divinations using cowrie shells, Okana is one of the patterns. I'm not going to get too much into this because I don't want to reveal Santeria's sacred practices. The first thing that I decided to test out and work with was the Okana Oracle. I did enjoy the feel of the cards and the detailed booklet that came with it. The creator of this deck definitely did their research, and I personally feel that they did an excellent job. As a warning, this deck is not meant to be used every day, and that was also this deck creator's intent, and it shows. When I went to test out the deck, I consecrated it first. Then, I immediately went ahead and looked at the spreads to see what I could do. At first, I was disappointed with there being only 2 spreads, but when I did the A Most Pressing Matter spread, it knocked my socks off. It quickly became apparent to me that this was meant to be a shadow work deck. Just really quick before I continue, consecrate means to declare something sacred or divine and asking for something to be blessed or used under the auspice of the divine. Shadow work means to work on parts of yourself that are considered negative or needs integration with your positive side. Basically, it's introspection, but looking at yourself from a more psychological point of view. So, back to the Okana Oracle. Once I did the spread, my socks were knocked off. I was amazed at how the messages were blunt and to the point. I did enjoy the sayings that came with each card. The cards felt very nice and were etched in gold ink. After I was done, I had to move on to the Akamara Tarot. The Akamara Tarot draws from African diasporic spiritual systems heavily. So does the Okana Oracle, but I felt it more so when I was working with this deck. One thing that took me off guard in a good way with this deck were the suits. The traditional suits are wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. In this deck, the suits are king, calabash, cutlass, and cowrie respectively. Also, pages, knights, queens, and kings are represented by Omo, Onija, Aya, and Baba respectively. The major arcana was representative of spirits and deities from African diasporic spiritual beliefs. These terms and spirits are super important and significant to African diasporic cultures and spiritual practices, especially when it comes to ancestor veneration and honoring the sacred. I was super happy and was about to cry when I saw this, because right then and there I knew that research, blood, sweat, and tears were put into this deck. It made me proud of the choices that I made to get where I am currently as an African diasporic practitioner, and made me want to continue down this path that I once forsook. It was confirmation. Again, I consecrated the deck and did a basic past, present, and future spread for myself. The only difference is that I decided to read the whole future pile to gain more clarification as I went along. It was another eye-opening read where I took notes and decided to reflect on them later. Later that night, after I closed out my session, I went to sleep and had some crazy dreams, not bad, upon waking up the next day. Again, as stated before, this deck is not for those who practice European spiritualities and or religions. So for those who are watching this and are expecting me to say that it is, I'm going to give you a hard no. Certain things are not meant to be tampered with, and this is one of them. Additionally, as someone who is mixed race and has mainly been raised and identified with West Indian cultures, practices, and spiritual beliefs, I definitely felt included and welcome with this deck. Growing up, I was never black enough to be in black spaces, never white enough to be in white spaces, and never Asian enough to be in Asian spaces. Due to the increase of people within the spiritual community, almost to the point of oversaturation, I feel that race will always play a part. Why? Because certain beliefs and spiritual practices that are seen as good or commonplace, such as Reiki, shamanism, and even yoga, can sometimes be racially divisive and exclusive to the natives who once practiced it by those who are outsiders. This isn't to say that these practices should be cut off from other races and creeds, but they should be respected. The same goes for African diasporic spirituality. This type of spirituality was practiced in each respective country and or region, but then became bastardized during the African slave trade. Time and time again, I have seen this happen as of late, even more so now, because there's no real ethical regulation and or responsibility within the spiritual online communities. I have seen two negative and extreme sides of the coin. White practitioners who practice and then bastardize and or disrespect the practice like it's a fad, or the other extreme where novice practitioners claim that practices such as voodoo or hoodoo are inherently bad and are considered the devil's work because that's what their spirit guides told them. And this is either done without doing the research, or the research is done, but people want to be invasive and dominate the practice. Either way, it's disrespectful on the face, and honestly, it's racist. This is why during this video, I have decided not to show the entire Akamara Tarot and Okana Oracle decks. It's mainly out of respect for my practice and others who walk the same, if not similar path as mine. Last, it's out of respect for my ancestors and anyone who has walked before me. So for those who are considering purchasing this deck, please be mindful of the practices involved with this as well of the people who practice. Side note, if you're looking for the cost and where to buy this set, information will be listed below. I hope you enjoyed this video. This will be the last video I post until June 6th. I will be taking a brief hiatus until then. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.